And then what'd he say? And then what you do? Ooh, girl, I would have died.
It is the only food that koalas eat. They have no natural protein.
No way! Stop it! Oh my.
The word marsupial is from the Latin.
No! Yeah, what?
Reading
Oh, I'm just making some milkshakes. Milkshake?
paws with claws adapted for climbing in the country of Australia.
Watch your show on any TV in your house with Iris, the new HD multi-room DVR from Rev TV. Start watching in one room and pick up right where you left off in another. Call to get Iris in your house today.
The government changes constitutional referendum questions. This as the F&M slams the Christie administration's handling of the process. An alleged murder suspect gunned down overnight, plus all roads lead to historic Fox Hill. We've got those stories and a whole lot more coming up tonight. I'm Bonnie Toot and NV12 starts now. Topping news tonight, less than a week after constitutional referendum questions were tabled in the House of Assembly, Leader of Government Business in the House, Dr. Bernard Nottage, revealed that those questions have been changed to avoid confusion. He says government's aim is to ensure voters understand what officials are trying to achieve. Dana Smith reports.
The National Security Minister said it's clear there's a lot of misunderstanding about what exactly the referendum is seeking to achieve. He said he met with both Cabinet and the Constitutional Commission about his concerns that the referendum questions were not simple enough. He said as a result, words have been added to make more evident what the referendum is trying to do.
I've discussed it with Cabinet and I've discussed it with the Constitutional Commission. And the Constitutional Commission, since I said that, have already added some words which I feel make it clearer what it is we're trying to do. Because when you refer to articles of the Constitution and sections of articles, the public does not understand that. And for them to go into a booth and see this, it's going to confuse them.
Transport and Aviation Minister Glenys Hanna-Martin read the proposed referendum questions in the House of Assembly last week. The 4 questions ask voters to approve the 4 constitutional amendment bills, which seek to eliminate gender discrimination. Nottage explained it was the strong reactions from the public and some members of Parliament in the days following the reading of the questions that signaled the questions may have been misunderstood.
How reading them is what has brought to the attention of persons who wish to see the bills pass, that they may not be understood. And actually, when we listen to the talk shows and we go on Facebook, we can see quite clearly that in a number of cases people do not understand fully what the bills are seeking to achieve.
Nottage explained the bills are ultimately seeking the same constitutional rights that are afforded to Bahamian men to be granted to Bahamian women in matters of citizenship. The 3rd bill will grant Bahamian men the same rights as Bahamian women. The 4th will eliminate discrimination based on sex. While some people have already voiced their intentions to vote yes, others have expressed fears of gay marriages and fraudulent marriages, among other things. Nottage said he was not prepared to draw conclusions based on public commentary on how he feels the vote will go, but noted he's a fair judge of public opinion and the success or failure of the referendum can hinge on how well the questions are understood.
I do know that if people do not understand the bills properly, they run the risk of not passing because they do not understand them. I have been in politics long enough to know that you have to listen to what people say. And I've always been right when I feel that what people say is going to cause something not to happen. It doesn't usually happen. When I think that what they say is going to cause it to happen, it seems to happen.
Nottage also reaffirmed the government is not going to proceed with the referendum unless it has consensus between the parties. And if to get it right, the government has to postpone the referendum, it will do so.
The government's not going to proceed if we don't have the level of agreement for which we are seeking. And secondly, we will, if necessary, postpone the bills until all voices are heard, all matters that are brought to our attention are given consideration, and we come to the public with what we are seeking to do, and that is eliminate discrimination against women.
The minister said whatever has been expressed to the government on the referendum, whether from within his own party or from the public, is receiving consideration, and the government is not against making changes to the constitutional amendment bills if it can achieve the government's goal of gender equality. Reporting for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
The deputy leader of the Free National Movement is slamming the Christie administration's handling of the process so far, telling NB12 today the government has demonstrated it is not prepared or serious about the constitutional referendum. She pointed to the growing number of MPs who have publicly raised issues about referendum bills. Simone Davis reports.
Less than 3 months before the constitutional referendum, Free National Movement Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner is blasting the Christie administration for not only failing to consult with the FNM's parliamentary team on referendum questions, but for apparent dissent in the Progressive Liberal Party. Her comments come days after both FNM and PLP MPs have publicly raised concerns about questions set to be on the ballot on November 6. Opposition MPs Hubert Chipman and Richard Lightbourne claim they did not see the referendum questions or bills before they were tabled, while government MPs Greg Moss, Leslie Miller, Dr. Andre Rollins, and Renwood Wells have expressed concerns over one or more of the bills. Butler Turner says everyone in the governing party should have been aware of the bills before they were tabled in Parliament.
Obviously, the government is demonstrating once again that they are not prepared to properly govern. I would think that anyone on the governing side should have been aware before those bills were tabled in Parliament. That is how governance is supposed to work.
The Long Island MP also took aim at Labor and National Insurance Minister Shane Gibson, who admitted that he hasn't seen the referendum questions because he wasn't paying attention when they were put in the House of Assembly. She says it shows the lack of effective leadership in the government when cabinet ministers are not aware of what's going on.
I'm very surprised to learn that even a cabinet minister is now suggesting or outright saying that he has never seen the questions. For me, I think that speaks to a lack of organization, a lack of proper leadership on the side of the government.
Butler Turner is the latest senior FNM member to raise concerns about the Christie administration's handling of this process. On Monday, St. Anne's MP Hubert Chipman accused the government of putting the cart before the horse, while FNM Chairman Darren Cash said the opposition is troubled by the referendum confusion within the government and its backbench. This, despite opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis's pledge to support the constitutional amendment bills. Butler Turner says this situation raises serious concerns.
Either they haven't been to Parliament or they haven't done their homework. And there have been numerous occasions for us to receive our bills. I was not here when the bills were tabled. I was out of the country. My business is to go to Parliament, as is all elected MPs, and to be up to date on what is happening on behalf of the people. So any MP that suggests that they haven't seen it or they're not aware of it, they are not representing the interest of the people. They're representing their own personal interest. And essentially, how do they impart that to their constituents if they're not doing their job? I think that that leaves a lot of room for question as to whether they're even effective in what they're supposed to be doing.
Butler Turner noted that since the 2002 referendum, when the FNM was in power and the PLP voted against it, the aim of the FNM is to now show political maturity by supporting the bills tabled in Parliament under the Christie administration. She said it's not about retaliation, but doing what's best for the Bahamian people. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
Well, Dr. Nottage dismissed the FNM suggestion that concerns raised by PLP MPs about referendum bills show a lack of effective leadership. He says differences of opinion within the PLP are not a concern for the government, adding it is illogical to expect everyone to agree on everything. However, he says their concerns are being considered.
I do not consider people's expressions of differences necessarily to be against what the government wants. I think people's expressions, some of them are based on misunderstandings, and some of them are based on specific areas that we wish.
Nottage also responded to Democratic National Alliance leader Branville McCartney, who said the concerns expressed by those MPs show bad governance and are an embarrassment to the Christie administration.
That's a foolish statement, and there are many of those being made by many people. The truth is that any political party, any grouping is made up of individuals who sometimes have differences of belief. And what we seek to do is to talk with each other and come to some compromise.
Turning to the crime beat, the man wanted by police in connection with 2 recent murders is dead tonight. Hours after launching an island-wide search for that suspect, police say his body was discovered in the Redland Acres area this morning with gunshot wounds to the head. This latest killing pushes the country's murder count for the year to 76. Kyle Joaquin has the details.
It was in this very same spot that police say they found the body of a man who they were actually looking for in connection with 2 of yesterday's murders. The alleged suspect in 2 of Monday's murders was shot and killed off Soldier Road just last night. However, authorities say his body wasn't discovered until 9 hours later. Officers were called to a dirt road off Soldier Road around 6:45 this morning. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Paul Rhodes, said when officers arrived on the scene, they found the victim lying in a pool of blood on Sumner Street with gunshot wounds to the head.
I guess someone was walking and they saw the body. That's the track road, so persons normally go through there. That was early this morning. We go into work.
Soldier Road residents reported hearing gunshots around 9 last night. That's when authorities believe the victim was murdered. He was described as tall with a slim build and dark brown complexion. Rhodes says he was wearing black shorts, a red shirt, and gray tennis. He's asking anyone with a missing relative who fits that description to contact police.
Persons hearing us, you have a relative left home fitting this description yesterday, you want to reach out to us and see whether or not this is your relative. Okay, the individual was born in 1986.
This latest killing comes 24 hours after 4 people were murdered and 2 others were critically injured in separate shooting incidents. Rhodes says the blatant disregard for human life is a major concern for police.
But the reality is, you have persons who are of the view that they should settle their disputes among themselves. And that is the crux of the problem, and we have to continue to appeal to persons not to do that.
The murder count now stands at 76. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And police have released the identities of the 4 people shot dead in New Providence over a 12-hour period. The 37-year-old man killed while picking up money from a web shop on Sapodilla Boulevard Monday morning is Prince Vanny's Prudence of Kwaku Street. He was killed hours before 35-year-old Latoya Williams was murdered outside a bar on Cordo Avenue on Monday. Meantime, police have identified the 33-year-old woman killed on Blue Hill Road yesterday as Nadia Tracy Cartwright of Marshall Road. Officials have also confirmed that the young man gunned down outside a home Sunday night is Brandon Russell.